Hey everybody, welcome to the Anxiety Project YouTube channel. I am Bradley Robinson, your hostess with the mostest on anxiety recovery. And today I'm talking about the 7 habits of a health anxiety sufferer. Now, when I started my recovery from anxiety, debilitating health anxiety, years ago, just knowing these realizations changed my perceptions, and also the light bulb went off in my head, and I didn't even know that these habits were emanating from me. I didn't even know, because I was practicing them every day. And remember that anxiety is practiced. We've practiced health anxiety, we've practiced anxiety, and it's become who we are. It's become something that you are, and just knowing that these habits are coming from you during the day is a light bulb moment. It's something, it's like a paradigm shift. So that's why it's important that we understand the habits anxiety sufferers do. And starting with number 7 is spending too much time at home. It's a huge one because I used to spend a lot of my time at home. I remember I feared going to work, unfamiliarity of work, and remind you that unfamiliarity is what anxiety sufferers fear. They want to be certain. You know, anxiety sufferers want to be certain, and spending time at home is a great way to be certain because it's your comfort zone. It's the place where you feel safe. And outside of your home is where you feel like, you know, people will judge you, or you will fail at something, or you'll have a panic attack, or your sensations will come about and it'll freak you out, right? So spending time at home was something I did. I remember I couldn't even walk a block away from my house, and then sensations would flow through me and a panic would arise, and then I would come back home. And just knowing that loved ones would come back home is something that is fueled my anxiety further. I just stayed at home all the time. So that was a big realization for me. Number 6 is putting on a mask, fake smiling, going about your day, just being like, hey Tom, hey Susie, just pretending everything is good, but really internally you're not. You're completely terrified, you're debilitating. It's the feelings are debilitating. And it's even about like going to family events, you know, you're talking about work and you're just putting on a smile. Oh yeah, everything's fine. But no, everything's not fine. And it's just like, you know, talking about work when everything's not okay, and just like pretending that you're somebody you're not, you know, and whatever happened to truth, emanating from each other, being honest about what's going on in our lives, because we live in a society where nobody's really honest anymore. Nobody's telling the truth about what they feel inside, or because people have fears of judgments. And it's funny because that everybody has their own difficulties and struggles, and we seem like we're so enclosed, and we feel like people will judge us, and it's not good to live that way. So I think it's really important that we become more truthful. But number 6 is a really important habit. So, and I did all the time. Number 5 is leaving the party early, or event, or coffee, dinner, date, or a dinner, whatever it may be. It's leaving early. I remember when I was in a film workshop, and I was front row, and there was lots of people behind me, and the workshop began. And 2 minutes into the workshop, I was flooded with sensations. I started to sweat, and I was like, why am I sweating right now? And then all of a sudden, I would feel nausea in my stomach, and then I would pay attention. But what if I threw up right now? What if I feel sick? And then I thought, what if I have to leave because these sensations are unbearable? And then I thought, what if the presenter thinks I don't like the presentation, and he thinks, and he gets hurt? What if his feelings get hurt that I leave the room? And all of these thoughts came in, and then all of a sudden, it was so overwhelming. The snowball got so big that I eventually left the room. I went to the bathroom and I was like, I can't do it, I have to leave. And I felt so bad, and I felt like hopeless. I felt debilitated, and just leaving events early is something very common. I did it all the time. I'm always making up excuses to leave, and it was very common. It almost happened all the time. Social events, things like that. Just, no, I don't think it's a great idea that I stay this late because I have this, or it's like, nah, I don't think, I have something that day, I can't come. It's always coming up with an excuse because you feel safer at home. You feel safer not socializing because you have social anxiety, whatever it may be. But that's a very common one. Number 4 is calling a loved one for reassurance. This was a daily thing. When I remember when I was a little kid, when I was in elementary school, I think it was like grade, I don't know, like 6, 7, something like that. I remember calling my mom because I had a lump in my my jaw or something, and I thought it was a tumor or something. And I called her up and I was trying to get some reassurance. And then that stemmed into my 20s, where I would call loved ones when I was having a panic attack. I would be on the phone with them for like half an hour, just trying to talk with them and just gain some clarity of what's going on. Like, what if I am dying? What if, my heart is beating so fast? Why do I feel so dizzy? And all of these things, and just having a loved one around or on speed dial on your phone, whatever, and always going to them for answers and for reassurance is so common. It happened to me every day. It's just the next day, after you get that reassurance the following day, you feel like it's something new again. Like, oh man, I gotta go to the hospital, or like, this is different this time. I have to phone you, and like, are you sure it's okay? Like, it's just an ongoing cycle, and calling these people became such a habit of mine, and yeah, it was every day. Number 3 is touching parts of your body. Touching parts of your body. I remember having conversations with people, and I would touch my side, touch, like, be like this. The body zaps or the pains coming and going. It's because of repressed emotional issues. It's just about, like, things that we haven't dealt with yet come up, and your subconscious is pretty much saying, pay attention to me. You haven't dealt with this thing yet. And you're talking with your coworker or whoever it may be, and you're touching your sides while you're talking to them because you're trying to focus in on them, but at the same time, your subconscious is yelling at you. There's an 8-year-old kid inside you yelling at you that it's like, pay attention to me. And it's so hard to be external when your insides and your subconscious is just yelling, right? So touching parts of your body was a very common thing. It was every day. It was just like, whether it be at work or whether it be at home or just by myself or whenever it may be, it's just like, it was a very common habit. So number 2 is frequent urination. Frequent urination, going to the bathroom all the time. I remember going to the bathroom like every 20 minutes. And it was like, I remember I had a fear of like urinating blood or something. Like, I had a fear of like something wrong with me internally. And I feel like I was always paying attention to my urination. It was just that I don't know, it was very, very common throughout the day. Just every 20 minutes, urination, boom, boom, going to the bathroom, at work, wherever you are, just going to the bathroom. Number one is one-word answers. Now, this is number one because it was all the time. One-word answers, I'd be like, totally. These were what I was saying. Totally. Totally. Or I'd be like, nice. Nice. Or I'd be like, of course. Of course. There was no back and forth. There was no conversation there because I was so internal. I didn't really want to talk to that person because I was so focused internally. And I didn't want to keep the conversation going for another 5 minutes. I wanted to get out of there because I needed to pay attention to these sensations. I needed to give my body attention. I had no time to converse with people. And this is so huge with health anxiety sufferers because we don't realize this is a habit. You know, all of this whole list, and the reason why it's number one is because it's one of the things that keeps us internal, because we can't pay attention to our external world when all of these repressed issues are yelling out at you that you haven't dealt with yet. And it's almost impossible to be external, and giving these one-word answers was an everyday thing for me. I was comfortable around the people I knew, and being around unfamiliar people, I just felt uncomfortable. I felt insecure. I had bad social anxiety, and that's why it's number one. It's just the most common habit of mine, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this. So earlier I said there's an 8-year-old child, and when I say that, I mean like that voice, the voice that's telling you no, don't do it, the voice that's telling you it's a tumor, it's a disease, the voice that's telling you to not go into that unfamiliar place because what if you might have a panic attack? That is the 8-year-old voice screaming out. And would you give an 8-year-old, if an 8-year-old child was standing beside you and was saying those things, would you give that attention? Would you give that voice attention? No. Why not? Because an 8-year-old child has not fully grown and is very unwise to the outside world and doesn't have all the facts and is just spewing out things that unwillingly and irrationally. So that irrational voice, why are we giving it so much attention? Why are we paying too much attention, letting that voice run our day? Because we don't know how to deal with that voice. It's like our rational thinking is so out of touch with who we are. As an anxiety sufferer, I was out of touch with the rational voice. I was out of touch with rational thinking and really basing things on fact. So, like, for example, that bodily sensation is a repressed emotional issue. You know, I don't have a disease. You know, I already went to the doctor and I got it checked out. Well, I'm putting fact on that 8-year-old voice that's screaming, right? Give it fact, because, you know, we have to start attaching these irrational thoughts to rational thoughts, putting fact in place so we can start getting to a higher place in life and with ourselves and overcoming anxiety. And I just wanted to add a reminder that this channel is not for people to come and complain about their sensations, complain about their anxiety. This is a channel where we realize our breakthroughs throughout the day, and it's all about the baby steps that we do. There is a approach to overcoming anxiety naturally. without medication, and doing it by ourselves and with a role model and with a coach or with anybody. And it's all about recognizing the baby steps and breakthroughs, because it's so easy to talk to loved ones about, sensations. It's so easy to talk about and complain to friends about how you're feeling and how life sucks. And this channel is all about breakthroughs. It's all about how we can get to a place from debilitating suffering, unbelievable suffering, to being a champion. And that's why this channel exists, and I will guide you there. Please subscribe to this channel for all video notifications, podcast notifications. My podcast is on iTunes, the Anxiety Project podcast. Subscribe to that, because that is awesome. People are loving the podcast, and don't let anxiety define who you are. I love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.